Hello, class. So we're going to have two videos. This is the first one, which is a little bit of a review of last class and some more details. So remember this term, narrow transcription, because we're going to see it as we go on. So the first thing that we have here, sorry, is is a definition which some students asked for the last class. So phonemes are the smallest unit of a sound in a language that distinguish meaning. That is what we saw in phonetics, right? When we changed a sound in a minimal pair, and therefore we had a new word. While allophones are contextual variants of the same phoneme. Okay, so when that phoneme changes a little bit, depending on the context, then we're going to have an allophone. Specifically, phonemes are basic sound units that cannot be altered without changing the word's meaning. Allophones are different sounds made for the same phoneme based on context. In different positions within a word, a phoneme may have different allophonic realizations that are predictable based on context. The key difference is that phonemes are psychological real units of sound, while allophones are contextually determined surface variants. So this means that a phoneme is what we have in our mind, what we think each sound is like. But that sound is going to change in different contexts. And that is what we're really going to pronounce. Okay, so I mentioned first nasalization, a nasalized vowel, which is not a nasal vowel, it's different. Okay, in this case, we have vowels that sound partially nasal. So they are shown with this diacritic, like the ñ. So we're going to use this on top of the vowel sound. And it's going to show that part of the air is going to come out through the nose and part of the air is going to come out through the mouth. That's why it's nasalized. They occur before nasal consonants. Okay, so here we have an example, and this is what narrow transcription is. The square brackets and then the diacritics that are, show the variants of that phoneme, the allophones. Okay, so here we have in Panther, and actually um, this is created by artificial intelligence, and actually Panther has um, a sound, a digraph, right? In Panther, not a Latin A. So, but this shows how it would be written. And there are a couple of errors here again, but let's see. All of the phonemes would have a diacritic on top. So let's see which one is correct. Pen, this symbol is used sometimes instead of the epsilon. So pen would be correct. Pin would be correct. It's a lax I before an N, so it's going to be nasalized. And moon would be correct, right? It's a tensio. Long, we would have actually a Latin A, and lamp would be a diagraph. Um, okay, so this diacritic shows that This is an allophone of the vowel. So we have some examples here of how a word would be transcribed. Like, okay, here is the panther is correct because it's a digraph, right? And then we have a dental N. We're going to see it in the next video. This dental N, see what it has? It has like, I don't know. Okay, see that? Like half a square or something. That shows that is pronounced dentally, not alveolar, because the next sound is dental or interdental, as we know it. Okay, but let's see the other um, nasalization. Anthem, diagraph also. Thank before a velar N. Think before a velar N. King also before a velar N. Kangaroo before a velar N also. Input, I just want to show you here that input, which has the prefix in, is going to be pronounced as an M because it's before a P, which is bilabial. So we're going to change the alveolar N to a bilabial M, which is an allophone of the N, right? Um, in pumpkin, we have an M and we have a stress schwa, which is going to be nasalized. And in napkin, okay, in napkin, um, napkin, I'm not sure if this is correct. Maybe there's, okay, let's leave this, let's leave this case for me to check because the N is before the vowel. And in campus, yes, before an M. Now, at the same time, look at this K, right? This K here. Sorry. Look at this K that has that little H and this P and this K. Okay, so that's the next sound that we're going to see, which is aspiration voiceless stops. So aspirated voiceless stops, PTK. No, I'm sorry. Voiceless stops are going to be aspirated at the beginning of the syllable, the beginning of the word. So uh, we're going to have a this little H, which is the glottal sound ha, right? Like in home. That shows that there's an extra puff of air. We can see the image here that there's an extra puff of air. So it's going to be p, t, k. So these words would be pin, top, cat. Not pin, top, cat, but pin, top, cat. That is the pronunciation that native speakers are going to make. Not the one that we use because we don't aspirate it. Okay. But not only when they're at the beginning. Oh, and by the way, they have to be followed by a vowel. If we have another consonant like an R, like in pray or try or create, then we don't have aspiration. So it's only when there's a vowel after the PTK. Um, then what happens when they are in the middle of a syllable? So in apple, water, monkey, there's no aspiration. Okay. PTK are usually unaspirated or significantly less aspiration when they occur in an unstressed syllable or after an S. For example, spin, in that case, it would not be aspirated. So the PTK are present in several consonant clusters, consonant groups, and if they are in those groups, they will not be aspirated. Okay, so in these cases, we have the unaspirated allophone, okay, the one that we know, but still they are allophones because as you can see here, they're in square brackets. They are shown here to contrast them with the aspirated ones. But not only there, there's also aspiration of PTK when there is a word that has a stressed syllable in the middle of the word, and that stressed syllable begins with PTK. Okay, so here we can see the narrow transcription of oppose. Okay, oppose. So the second syllable is pose, and that P is aspirated. Um, entire. And entire, the second syllable is tire, and that T is aspirated because tire has the stress. See, entire, that the stress is there. And in request, the second syllable is stressed and it starts with a K sound. So in request, the K is aspirated. In these cases, the voiceless stop occurs beginning a stressed middle syllable and is strongly aspirated. Okay, and then we have the examples that we saw before where they are not aspirated. Apple, monkey, and here we have white. So in white, the second syllable is, well, first it's one syllable, right? But the t is at the end and it's glottalized, which means that there's um like a stop. Actually, in this case, I believe it's the case of unreleased, but well, it could be a glottal stop. I'm not sure. So when the middle syllable is unstressed, aspiration is minimal or absent, and it is a T or a flap T, like in the case of water, which is not here, but that T is going to be a flap T, right? Okay, so here's a summary that PTK are aspirated in the beginning of any stress syllable, including middle ones. And stress middle are, yes, so stress middle syllables like oppose are aspirated. So let's see more examples. Here we have several. Panther. Okay, so here we have the aspirated P, and then we have the dental N. Um, it moved a little bit, but we're going to see the dental N in the following part of the class. Pinpoint. Okay, pinpoint. This is um this word is a compound word. It has pin and point, but still the stress is in the first one in pin. So the first P is aspirated, but the second one is not. Temptation, the same thing. Temptation, temptation. The stress is in this first one, the first T. So um, the that first T is aspirated. Tennis, all right? And we see here, like in temptation and in pinpoint and in panther, they all also have nasalized vowels. Catkin. Okay, so in the kin part, in the second one, in catkin, uh, the laxi is going to be nasalized and the k sound at the beginning is going to be aspirated. King, again, we have aspiration and nasalization. Thank. Okay, here the K is not aspirated, right? It's at the end, or think. Then we have campus, campus. So the K is aspirated and the diaphragm is nasalized. And in input, we have a nasalized laxi and an unstressed syllable with put, so there's no aspiration in that case. Okay, here we have some more where there's aspiration in the second syllable. So the only thing here that is shown here is the aspiration. If there are other allophones, they're not shown. So appear, attack, acquire, appetizer, mm, appetizer, appetizer, yes, appetizer. Yes, the stress is in tizer. Okay. Occupation, occupation. The stress is there. You can see here, remember that we saw them in phonetics, but I didn't tell you to always use them. But now we are going to use them because they're necessary for this. So you can see the stress symbol here, which is starting the second syllable, the same. The stress symbol is going to be, okay, this is primary stress and this is secondary stress. I didn't see that. So it's going to be appetizer. So the stress is actually in a. Then we have another syllable which is p, and then we have secondary stress in tizer. We're going to study that later, so don't worry about it. But an occupation, yes, it's in patient, occupation. Okay, so that is it for this lesson. Please watch this again if things are not um, understood, because we are going to be joining topics as we go on, and you need to know what we saw before. Okay, see you.